You know his words will get you fired.
Reboot! Marvel, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything that I've ever said about you. I'm sorry for suggesting that you represent the ultimate decline in quality of cinema today. I still don't like you. But all you did is give me a wedgie and run away. This studio my bitching asshole. Yes, for my first time out, we're doing Batman v Superman, the 2016 piece of shit that was supposed to kick off a new cinematic universe, but only served to create skepticism and doubt among fans and general audiences alike. Some people liked it, certainly made money, but I stand firmly with the majority in thinking that this was just unbelievably, unacceptably bad. I honestly didn't think they could do worse than Man of Steel, but that movie was downright watchable compared to this. Batman v Superman sets a new low for superhero films, the film industry in general, the love output of most puppies, other hyperbolic examples, and it makes the human race a worse thing to be a part of. Many who did like Batman v Superman have seen the near-universal reaction to it and deemed it cool to hate. But you know what? No, it was not cool that I hated this movie. I wanted to love this movie. And while this review probably will be fun and somewhat cathartic for me, I take no joy in hating this. It honestly makes me sad that we didn't get a good universe-building film out of this. But this is what we're left with. A shallow film that just does nothing with itself. Now, truth be told, I haven't seen too many reviews for this thing, either in print form or from what I guess can be considered my peers. Nevertheless, I'm sure this review will cover a few of the same issues raised in others, but I think that only speaks to how obvious and universal the problems with this movie are. Well, no sense beating around the bush, although I've never wanted to avoid something so much in my life, so let's just jump right in. Now, if you're new around here, then back when I was a mad person, my format used to be that I would go through pretty much the whole movie, only stopping occasionally to address the issues that I wanted to address. I'm not doing that with this 3-hour piece of shit! Here are the highlights. Let's start with Batman, because this is the character I've had the most investment in over the years. This Batman takes a harder, more cynical approach to crime fighting. He's a guy who will stop at nothing and do whatever it takes to keep the city safe. Even if it means taking a life, or many lives, or burning his symbol into people's flesh, or doing things that only bad people do. It's all very direct, and not what you would expect from a character that's supposed to be a creature of the shadows. They do try at times to be more subtle with his tactics, but often with mixed results. Okay, remember when you were a kid and you would climb your door frame and stay perched up there? That's what this looks like. This is not intimidating. Oh, Zach, what are you doing? I've seen and read a lot of dark versions of Batman in my life, but this was the first time he came across as just depressed to me. Batman is a quiet and brooding character, sure, but this one seemed like he was just sick of it all. His scenes felt dejected in a way that other characterizations didn't. I almost got the sense that he didn't even really want to be here, that he was just trudging morosely through the plot because that was his job, not because he believed in what he was doing. Now, some might argue that that's because this is an older version of the character who is battle-weary from 20 years of fighting crime, losing partners, and probably doing things that were a lot more interesting than what we see in this movie. That's another thing that confuses me. Why did they choose the least interesting time in this character's life for us to be introduced to him? Oh, and he's also a murdering psychopath. Now, there have been many incarnations of Batman over the years, but I feel that two in particular have come to define the character today. Christopher Nolan's Batman and Paul Dini's Batman. Also Bruce Timm's. And both these versions have two traits in common. They won't use guns, and they won't kill. This is what defines the character. Those are his principles. That is who he is. Those principles belong to older representations as well, but these two versions honed in on that and made a cultural impact with the idea. Today, even people who don't watch Batman films know that Batman doesn't use guns or kill people. It's as iconic to the character as his cape and cowl. Now, if you're going to change that, that's fine. But since the overwhelming majority of people in your audience are familiar with the no-gun, no-kill Batman, you You can't suddenly have him slaughter people left and right and expect that we're not going to be bewildered and kind of sick seeing that. You have to acclimate us to the idea of Batman killing. You have to acclimate us to the idea of him using guns. But they didn't build anything about this character. They didn't define who Batman is in this world. They just threw him in all kill crazy and we're all left scratching our heads and throwing up in our toilets. And on a personal level, seeing Batman use guns made the character feel less capable to me. Batman is supposed to be a creature of the shadows who can silently take out a room full of guys and you would never even know he was there. But anyone can shoot someone, so this version of Batman felt like just anyone to me. Now on to Superman. And good lord, what is there to even say about this character? The lack of agency he has in this film is just astounding. He barely has a word to say for himself, he just seems to believe the last thing anyone said or did to him, and I have no idea what he's even trying to do or what he wants. The most you can say about this character is that he is physically present in the film. They give him a little bit of life here and there when he's briefly interacting with Lois or tracking down the Batman, but mostly he just sulks his way through the plot and things just seem to happen to him. This is a character that can do pretty much anything. Why is he just sitting around his apartment listening to what people assume about him? Why doesn't he ever tell his side of the story to anyone? Why doesn't he fly over and talk to this woman? Why doesn't he fly over and talk to the senator woman? Why doesn't he fly over and talk to Batman? Superman feels so passive and disinterested in everything that's going on around him. There's just no life to this character. And it makes me feel bad for the actor because Henry Cavill seems like he could play a great Superman. Unfortunately, they keep having him play Batman. Batman is the character who's supposed to be brooding and pessimistic. Superman is the contrast to that. He's the man who believes in humanity, who thinks that criminals are just a few bad apples ruining the bunch. Flies around, saves the day, life is great, and so are you peoples. This Superman is just as depressed as Batman. He just mopes around, wallowing in self-pity and pathos no matter what is happening. Look at this. You just saved a little girl. You did something good. Why do you look miserable? What is even the difference between these two characters anymore? They both kill people. Don't you dare tell me this guy could have survived that. They're both sulky and miserable. They're both painfully underdefined. Where's the contrast? Where's the interplay? Where's the bug spray? There's a spider in my recording room. Oh, there it is. Sorry, guys. Then we have Lex Luthor. And you know what? If this interpretation of the character worked for you, great. I actually admire this movie for trying to do something different with this character. But I'm in the majority who think that this Lex is just annoying, unintimidating, and just plain weird. And I mean, like, weird in a way that someone with this high a profile would never be able to get away with.
The bittersweet pain among men is having knowledge with no power. Because that is paradoxical, and,
You know everyone can see and hear you, right? Why isn't anyone calling the brain hospital? And I can't really cover the rest of the characters because they are so much in support of nothing, they may as well not even be there. Lois gets marched around by the plot and contributes little. This Alfred seems like he might be a good Alfred. This Wonder Woman seems like she might be a good Alfred. Sorry, that was a typo. But they'd have to give them something to do in a film before I can assess that. So that's about all we got for this part of the review, because you're living in a dream world if you think I'm putting this thing in the character section. People have been pretty down on Zack Snyder these days, and you know, I really feel for the guy. I personally think he's a good director, and even did some outstanding work on the Watchmen movie. But the look of all the DC films he's worked on since then have been particularly drab. I get that DC has a darker tone and look than some comics, but it all seems so color-starved, even by those standards. Batman v Superman may as well be a black and white film at times. Everything is just so muted. Now, sometimes that can work. A dark look can often convey an atmosphere and mood that sets the tone for your story. But Snyder seems so absorbed in the visuals with this that he doesn't seem concerned with telling a story with them at all. And when those visuals are inspired by something that was telling a story, you really have a problem. Take the Mausoleum dream sequence, for example. Now, this scene was clearly inspired from the giant bat moment in The Dark Knight Returns, but there was so much more to that than just a giant bat happening. Here, an aging Bruce Wayne was struggling with a want of coming out of retirement, and the voice of the Batman inside his head was goading him. taunting him, saying things like, "The time has come. You know it in your soul, for I am your soul. You are puny. You are small. You are nothing, a hollow shell, a rusty trap that cannot hold me. Smoldering, I burn you, burning you. I flare hot and bright and fierce and beautiful. You cannot stop me, not with wine or vows or weight of age. You cannot stop me, but still you try, still you run. You try to drown me out, but your voice is weak." And only after this does the voice manifest itself as a giant bat crashing through his window and breaking up his calm, the symbol of Bruce's need to take down crime that he just can't escape, that will never let him have peace. It didn't just happen. A giant bat didn't just come crashing through something so we can all look at it. The same problem happens when Superman is nuked in the movie. Superman was diverting a Soviet missile in The Dark Knight Returns. That's why he was nuked in this. And Batman chose a short time after to take him on, because Superman had been weakened so much by that even with all of Batman's traps and gadgets and kryptonite, he might have a chance at defeating him. There was no reason to use a nuke in this. Superman was taking care of the problem. It only happened so that Snyder can show us this. And for what? The nuke just wears off after a while, and everything proceeds as if it never happened. Now understand, I am not saying that this is bad because it isn't exactly like the comics. Believe me, the last thing I want is just a rehash of something I've already read 1,000 times. But if you're taking inspiration from an established story, you have to build your own story around that framework and around the imagery. I believe The Dark Knight did this when they took inspiration from The Killing Joke. I believe The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did this when they took inspiration from the night Gwen Stacy died arc. Snyder clearly has a lot of reverence for this graphic novel, but he seems more interested in showing us the pictures he likes than actually trying to create a story around those images. And that's about all I got for the director's section. I don't know how to make the end of this funny. I don't know how this isn't funny. Let's get real here. The writing in this movie is asbestos. You heard it from line 1. Time above, time before, diamond absolutes. You're not Christopher Nolan, Dave. Stop trying to be. That man knew how to turn a phrase, even if his dialogue was a bit on the nose at times. This is as far from the nose as you can get. I mean, maybe David Goyer wasn't completely responsible for the writing. This movie did have a co-writer, but a lot of the scenes and lines in this just have Goyer's fingerprints all over it. But if he wasn't responsible for all this, I'll say I'm sorry and send him a fruit basket or something. The dialogue alone is so rancid that describing what's wrong with it could have been its own category in this review.
A man like that, words don't stop him. You know what stops him? A fist.
David Goyer was paid to write that. David Goyer bought cars and sustenance with those words. But no matter who was responsible for the dialogue, nothing excuses the actual story, if it can be called such. It would be impossible for me to explain anything that's actually happening in this movie, because it's one of those scripts that seems like there's a lot in it, but none of it amounts to anything. You've got motivations that don't exist, you've got characters that come and go out of nowhere, you've got dream sequences that are dream sequences, you've got dream sequences that aren't dream sequences. There is nothing cohesive or tangible about anything structurally, mechanically, or aesthetically in this film. As a whole, Batman v Superman is simply unreviewable. So I'm just going to tackle the bits and pieces that are solid enough to evaluate. There are 3 characters at the center of what passes for a conflict in this movie. Batman, Superman, and Lex Luthor, and none of them have any connection to one another. They have no history between them, they hardly ever meet. They're all just looking at each other through a keyhole and making wild assumptions based on this weird, distant inference. And it all just seems silly because everything these characters believe could be cleared up in a second with one conversation. So there's no conflict. Like, there's actually no conflict between these 3 characters. Sure, they're all doing negative actions towards one another, but none of it is based on anything tangible or personal or real. Superman doesn't want to do anything. To reiterate, he's just kind of stumbling around the plot while other people do things to him. Batman wants to kill Superman because he saw him destroy a city and thinks he's too big a risk. never bothers investigating why he was fighting Zod or take into account that he was trying to protect the city while Zod was trying to destroy it. And this is the worst part, because this was a golden opportunity to make the ending of Man of Steel actually mean something. I thought part of this movie was going to be putting Superman on trial for that. That actually would have been interesting. Have the court say to Superman what maybe some of the fans were saying about the end of Man of Steel. That he was reckless and got people killed. Could he have been more careful? Did he make every attempt to take the fight elsewhere? That's a great conflict built into the end of Man of Steel and the beginning of this movie. I don't understand why they had to create this whole other conflict out of a bunch of confusing shit in the desert, with people we've never met, in a place we've never been, that the film doesn't spend that much time on anyway. This was all just a convoluted and utterly stupid frame-up job to make Superman seem like a bad guy, but they already did that at the beginning of the movie. Like, without the frame-up job. Most of the goings-on in Batman v Superman are only happening because Lex Luthor wants to prove that Superman is not all-powerful, and he wants to kill him, or have him kill someone else, or turn the world against him, or some bullshit that this film can't make up its mind about. Lex apparently wants to do this because, I don't know, he's a jerk, I guess. There are one or two lines that suggest that his father was abusive towards him as a kid. I have no idea what that has to do with Superman. I mean, it would be one thing if he said to him, if you're so powerful, why weren't you there for me when my dad was beating me? But they couldn't do that because Superman had only been around for about a year and change, so this just doesn't work. Lex's big master plan is to have Superman kill Batman to prove that Superman is fallible enough to do something that he's already done at least 2 times in these movies. And if Superman doesn't kill the Bat, his backup plan is to create a cave troll which he will unleash on the city. Which kinda makes you wonder what would have happened if Superman actually did kill Batman. I guess this thing would have been all dressed up with no place to go. So to get these two to fight, Lex has systematically manufactured conflict between the two, except not really, because only some of it is manufactured. Bruce Wayne actually did see Superman destroy a city at the beginning of the film. That's why he wanted to kill him, which had nothing to do with Luthor's plan. Batman actually was branding people, and that actually is fucked up, and something Superman probably wouldn't have been okay with. There's frame-up after setup after frame-up, and really, Luthor needn't have bothered. These two were perfectly fine hating each other on their own. So up until the confrontation on the helipad, what was ever at stake in this movie? I mean, aside from these characters conspiring to beat each other up, what was anyone's goal? What of consequence was anyone trying to do? The first time anything is at stake is when Lex kidnaps Superman's mom and threatens to kill her unless Superman beats up Batman. Which, first of all, you'd think Superman would be used to letting family members die pointless deaths by now. And second of all, does this not render all of Luthor's schemes completely pointless? You don't need to stoke the fires of hatred against Batman if you're using Superman's mom as a hostage to make him fight Batman. Superman could have thought Batman was the greatest guy in the world, and he would still have tried to fight him to save his mom. And I mean, why doesn't Superman just tell Batman that Lex has his mom and is forcing him to do this? Like, there. When he's not saying anything. Just tell him he's got your mom right there. Or anytime. You know you can fly, right? Just hover over him where he can't get to you and explain what's going on. With a title like Batman v Superman, you can bet that the fight is a lot of what people are here for. But what the fight is based on is so brain dead. It all comes across as stupid. I can't even suspend my disbelief enough to enjoy this anymore. There was no reason for any of this. And might I just add that the V part of Batman v Superman was insultingly lame. I thought this fight was going to show off the different tactics and strategies between the two characters. But no, we can't even get to know them on that level. Batman just hits Superman with kryptonite, kicks him around the room for a little while, until the fight doesn't fight anymore. But now we get to the shit gem of this whole thing. The moment that turned this from a bad movie to something I honestly wanted my money back for.
You're letting him kill Martha! Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name. It's his mother's name.
Here's a new rule going forward, and this applies to all my reviews, both current and retroactively. Whatever I've said about any movie, however bad it is, it forever gets an automatic +1 modifier if no one in the film stops fighting because their moms have the same first name. Lion King, bump that shit up a notch. Phantom Menace, bump that shit up a notch. That is the most disgusting display of outright narrative incompetence I have ever seen. No matter how bad any part of any other film is, it just can't get there. It sets a new low for cinematic refuse that will take something truly special to match. Yeah, they don't stop fighting because they learn anything about each other or realize they were wrong about one another. Their moms just happen to have the same first name. So as far as Batman knows, Superman is still the unacceptable risk that he thought he was when he decided to kill him the first time. This change of heart is based on nothing. I mean, does Batman just hear the name of his dead mom and every single time it comes up he has a change of heart? This also means two things. First, it means that if Superman's mom had been named Gretchen, he would be dead right now. Like, Batman would actually have murdered him. Second, since the reconciliation was based solely on this happenstance, it means that neither character ever figured out what Lex Luthor did. Did anyone even notice this? Like, Lex was sending trumped-up notes to Bruce Wayne, he encased a wheelchair in lead so that Superman couldn't detect a bomb. Neither of them ever figured any of this out. Batman didn't find out he was being played, Lois figured out the wheelchair thing, but she never had a chance to tell Superman about it. This wasn't just one of the worst story elements of any film. It single-handedly rendered everything that everyone did in this movie completely pointless. And then what? They're automatic friends, Batman rescues Superman's dumb mom, they all fight a thing, Superman dies, except not really, because they're making the Justice League films, and we know you're making the Justice League films, so we know damn well he's not really dead, and yet we still have to sit through 48 minutes of his fucking damn funeral scene. Nothing about this movie works. There is nothing I liked about this. It's not fun, it's not entertaining, it's certainly not well written. Batman v Superman is the giant gaping anus of the American cinema. But now I'm just using all my best lines, so I'll save my concluding statements for... What we have with Batman v Superman is a trough of empty characters that aren't about anything participating in this hazy miasma of a plot, with painful dialogue and terrible story elements all mixed together in a visual style that shows you things but conveys nothing but surface imagery. So here's what confuses me. Why did anyone at Warner Brothers think this was releasable? Why was anyone at Warner Brothers surprised by the bad reviews? What did you guys think was going to happen with this? Who did you think this was going to please? So this concludes my review/tirade as to why Batman v Superman is hands down the worst superhero film I have ever seen. And no, I'm not saying that if you liked this movie, you're objectively wrong or any stupid shit like that. We're not doing that anymore. We're starting over. 1-1. Let me just get one more tantrum out of the way for old time's sake. You clicked, not me.